regular meeting of Goodyear City Council, 6 October 2008. Would you please join Vice Mayor Antoniak in the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation?
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please join me in the invocation by bowing your heads if you wish. Dear Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening once again to make decisions that are hopefully wise and forward-thinking as we go about representing the community and the members of Goodyear, businesses, residents, and visitors alike. Protect our men and women overseas as they go about protecting us. Help our city staff as they go throughout their day, also protecting us here on the home front. And give our country's leaders and world leaders vision and forward-thinking attitudes as they go about solving what hopefully is turns out to be a healthy world economy over the coming months. And last but not least, look over our friend, our brother, our father, and fellow council member, Mr. Dick Sousa, as he goes about his recovery. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you. 6 of the members of the council are here tonight. Councilmember Sousa, as Vice Mayor Antoniak indicated, is ill. He's at the hospital. I met with him today. He expects to be home tomorrow or the next day. So, could I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Sousa?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by stating aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilmember Sousa is excused. We have no expenditures to ratify. However, we do have 2 communications items, and the first is Betsy Rice will explain the Citizenship Award Program. Betsy.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. It's my pleasure to be back before you again tonight to discuss another program. This time it is the Mayor and Council Citizenship Awards Program. It's something that I've been working very closely with my colleague Parrish Spies, assistant to the council, to develop over the last several months, and we're excited to bring it before you tonight. It's going to be a great program, we think, for the city. I'll give you a little background on how this all started. We heard of a local citizen, a Goodyear resident, who performed a heroic act, and we thought that it would be wonderful if he could be recognized by the mayor and council for what he had done. Well, after doing a little research, Parrish and I came to find that there really was no such award that had been presented in the past. And so we thought it would be a great idea to come up with this new program so that when incidents like this happen in the future, it'll be something that the mayor and council have the opportunity to recognize these outstanding citizens in our community. So what we've done is come up with a program, and it has actually, initially we'll have 2 separate honors. The first of them being the Doing Good for Goodyear Award, and that award is geared more towards citizens in our community who go above and beyond in obviously doing good for Goodyear. We're not talking small, we're talking really big, life-changing, community-changing type events that citizens take under their own initiative, and that would be one of the awards. The other award is the Hometown Hero Award, and this award would be presented more in a situation where a valor, a life-saving effort, those sorts of things, were done by a citizen. We will be bringing forward more details about this program to the public in the weeks to come. You should be hearing more about it. But initially, we hope to have an application form available on the website where citizens can nominate people they think are worthy of these 2 awards. And we're also going to encourage our own city staff to be on the lookout for citizens who have either been hometown heroes or are doing good for Goodyear. Once we receive those nominations, Parrish and I will obviously be taking a close look at them, and any nominations that we feel are worthy of either of these awards, we will be submitting to you for your approval, so that we will be able to present these awards to our citizens. We're very excited to have this program here for the City of Goodyear. We think it's going to be a great way to recognize those who really do good in our community, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Questions? Yes.
I have just a comment. It would be nice, I think it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Years ago we had an Outstanding Citizen Award that we used for a while, and then that went away. But having this kind of an award, it would be nice to have it presented to that citizen at an event, maybe the Chamber of Commerce dinner, annual dinner, or something that the city sponsors, so that we could publicly recognize that citizen.
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, yes, it's a wonderful idea. It's definitely something we look into. Initially, we will have these citizens brought before you at a council meeting to receive their awards at a council meeting, but it is a possibility. I know we have a volunteer recognition dinner in the spring, so maybe that's a possibility as well.
Great. Okay,
Great.
hey,
Thank
nice
you.
presentation, thanks.
Thanks.
The second item refers to the grand opening of the baseball complex the other day, and it was attended by the governor. She spoke, and Paul Dolan, and many of his senior executives. The entire council that was in the state was there. The staff was there, and I would guess, how many people? Anybody know? 1,000 or what? How many?
2,500.
Wow. Okay. That's great. And you know what? The people are excited about this. They are really excited, so that makes it great for us. But the Cleveland Indians, Paul Dolan presented this. He presented it to the people, and he specified that, didn't he? Mm-hmm. This is to the people, and the people are the ones who deserve it, because the people not only are funding this operation, but they're behind us, and they're supportive. And I think if it weren't for the people, we'd be in one heck of a jam, frankly, right now. But so the Indians dedication ceremony and the date, Cleveland Indians Clubhouse and Goodyear Recreation Complex. Special thanks to City of Goodyear for bringing the Indians back to Arizona. And again, it's to the citizens, so we'll keep it in City Hall. John, you guys figure out where you want it, but it's got to be someplace that's easily observed by anybody who visits our City Hall. So thanks to Paul Dolan, and thank you to the citizens of Goodyear. Okay, now opportunity for any citizen who would like to address the council on any item that is not on this evening's agenda. Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the consent agenda, and I'll ask the city clerk to read items A through J by title only, please.
Item A, approve draft minutes of a work session, regular meeting, and special meeting held on September 8, 2008. Item B, approve request from Davenport Spain representing Dillon LLC for a Series 12 liquor license number 1207773 for Sutra Indian Restaurant located at 13824 West McDowell Road, Suite A100. Item C, approve a request from Sandra Gonzalez representing CRG Restaurants 2 LLC for a Series 12 liquor license number 1207772 for Trey Generacion Restaurant located at 13817 West Van Buren. Item D, adopt resolution 08-1258 authorizing the city manager and chief of police to execute an agreement between the city of Goodyear and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office to participate in the Maricopa County Neighborhood Narcotics Enforcement Team. Item E, adopt resolution 08-1261 approving a first amendment to an intergovernmental agreement between the city of Goodyear and the Arizona Tourism and Sports Authority regarding the funding of Cactus League baseball facilities. Item F, adopt resolution 08-1259 authorizing the application for creation of an enterprise zone, establishing the boundaries of the enterprise zone, and authorizing the city to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with Maricopa County and other municipalities to establish the Enterprise Zone Commission. Item G, appoint current alternate member Leslie William Nichols as a voting member to serve on the Arts and Culture Commission to finish Julie L. Barker's term ending on December 31st, 2009, and council to appoint Edward Von Vecchio to the Arts and Culture Commission as an alternate member with term expiring on December 31st, 2010. Item H, authorize the city attorney to execute a fee agreement with the law firm of Engelman Berger, P.C. Item I, authorize the city attorney to execute a fee agreement with the law firm of Squire, Sanders, and Dempsey, LLP. Item J, authorize the city attorney to execute a fee agreement with the Magnone Law Firm, P.C.
Okay, thank you very much. Would anyone in the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Would anyone on council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Councilmember Cavalier.
I guess I hadn't realized this item E pertaining to the training facility. I'd like to ask the attorney, is that something I should recuse myself on?
That's between the city and the Arizona Sports and Tourism Authority. It's kind of
It has nothing to do with anyone else? Okay. And I guess, okay, so then we're okay with that. At least
Okay.
in your mind? Okay. The other one is, I'd like to, item G, to recognize the two people, the one that's being put on the, like,
No, we talked about it, but
Oh.
it's great for you to do it.
should we
Yeah.
pull that item so we can at least recognize those people?
Well, let's just recognize it.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
We don't have to pull it, I guess.
Leslie William Nichols. Hello, Leslie. Thank you for doing this. And Edward Buonvecchio. Okay. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve this consent agenda, from A through what, J?
Yes. Motion by Councilmember Lord,
Second.
second from Councilmember Osborne. Roll call vote, please.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move to the business agenda. We only have one item this evening, and we'll now have a public hearing to consider adopting a resolution for the submission of summary housing needs data and a neighborhood stabilization program. I'll open the public hearing, and we'll ask for a presentation by Matt Hanson.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I guess I get to keep the good news going tonight as we're talking about the economy. Previously, I submitted to the council a yellow paper on the Housing and Economic Recovery Act of 2008. Specifically in there was discussion of a neighborhood stabilization program, which is a CDBG, a community development block grant-like funding mechanism coming from the feds to help prop up the housing issues that we're going through right now. The purpose of the public hearing tonight is purely procedural, to make sure the city has a seat at the table as Maricopa County is deciding how their allocation of funding is ultimately split up. A little bit of background, and we've discussed this previously, but the city participates in the Urban County program run by Maricopa County Community Development. We are not currently an entitlement community, even though we've been invited to be one by Housing and Urban Development. So for the time being, we receive our community development block grant allocation and our home housing rehab funds through the county as authorized by the Community Development Advisory Committee and the Board of Supervisors. Currently, Councilmember Cavalier and Osborne represent the city as the representative and alternate on the CDAC, along with their colleagues from similar-sized communities throughout the county and private individuals who are nominated to serve by Board of Supervisor members. The allocations have come out from the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, and Maricopa County has been allocated $9.9 million in Neighborhood Stabilization Program for those communities who have not received a direct allocation from Housing and Urban Development. In order to take advantage of this funding, the county has asked the city to do two things. The first item is to submit needs assessment on what our current housing issue looks like, specifically the subprime mortgage issue and the foreclosures that the city has. This will be used to be reported to HUD and determine how money is allocated throughout the state and throughout the country. They've also requested that each community declare their intent to apply or not apply for these funds. So that's the purpose of this public hearing tonight. There are no guarantees, no decisions have been made. Maricopa County and the Community Development Advisory Committee will ultimately determine how that money is split up. There'll be an application process, just like we do with community development, block grant, and home housing rehab. I just threw these last two bullets up here because these two allocations have made a lot of news locally here in the West Valley. Both the City of Avondale and the City of Surprise are currently entitlement communities, and they get an allocation directly from HUD. And even being entitlement communities, these allocations are a little out of correlation with what they normally get from community development block grant and home housing rehab. And that's a direct reflection on the state of their housing issue. They got much larger allocations than they might normally have gotten through a traditional CDBG allocation. But the City of Avondale has received, or will be receiving, $2.4 million, and the City of Surprise, $2.1 million. The next series of slides are the specific questions asked of us by the county of our needs assessment. These are not questions that staff dreamed up or staff would even consider. These are what we were specifically asked to respond to. So I'll walk through them and answer any questions you might have. What is the approximate number of foreclosed properties in your community? Here's the $30,000 question or whatever. I mean, here's the big issue. As of today, there are 1,014 residential properties, either single-family, townhouses, condos, in a status of foreclosure. This could be, as you see up here, pre-foreclosure. It could be a bank auction is scheduled. The bank has actually taken over the property, or actually we have 2 government-seized properties in Goodyear. There is a lot of fluctuation in the numbers you hear reported about foreclosures. Some of that has to do with only bank-owned properties being reported, and some of that has to do with people just doing MLS listings to see everything that's in a foreclosed status. I tried to break it out between residential properties and parcels of land. We actually have 603 parcels of land that are also in a foreclosure status. So the numbers you might hear, depending on who you're talking with, could go anywhere from 484, just being those bank-owned, single-family homes, all the way up to 1,600 if somebody just did a quick and dirty search of the MLS and they get every foreclosed property, whether it has a house on it or not. As of last month, Community Development indicated we had 21,417 total residential units in Goodyear. This includes rentals as well, but just doing a rough sort of calculation, we have 4.7% of our residential units in foreclosure right now, which is consistent with what we're hearing, 4 to 6% in the Southwest Valley.
Mayor,
Yes.
you say it includes rentals, meaning it includes like Palm Valley luxury rentals?
The 21,000 number at the bottom, that's residential units total.
But you're saying the Southwest Valley is between 4 and 6.
Yeah, the numbers we hear throughout the Southwest Valley being reported is 4 to 6% of residential units are in foreclosure, and our numbers are consistent with that.
This may be a question out of your department, but I'm sure in your research you may have looked at. Are we able to map these GIS-wise within our Okay, am I getting ahead of you? Sorry.
Yeah, yes, we are.
I can see the look on your face.
I get that too. I'll answer it briefly now. There's commercial mapping software, and I'll show you an example of that where we're able to map them. And also our police department is doing GY mapping, and they're mapping foreclosures and looking at crime hotspots and other issues. So yes, we absolutely are mapping them. Where are these properties located? Are they scattered locations, or are there high areas of high concentration? This is a question the county's asking specifically so they can make some decision about where they want to target money. Do they just want to buy up properties or invest money evenly across the county, or are there some really high concentration areas where those investments should be targeted? In Goodyear, every corner of Goodyear is touched in some way, shape, or form by this foreclosure issue, but the real concentrations are south of I-10, north of MC-85, and primarily from Estrella Parkway to the west. That is sort of the core area. And there are all kinds of factors that go into that. age of housing stock. Typically, the older it is, the less foreclosures you have. Some of the active adult areas, you have people that came to Goodyear with a lifetime worth of equity build up, so they didn't take advantage of some subprime mortgages, so you have a slightly lower rate. So there's a lot of factors into it. Here's an example of mapping. There's no specific reason why I put this particular map up here, and I'm sorry for those of you in the audience who can't see it, but this is Estrella Parkway on the right to Cotton Lane on the left with Yuma Road to the south. I have only shown bank-owned properties on this map. If I included properties going to auction and the other foreclosure statuses, you would see nothing but a blur. So I tried to show you just bank-owned, and we can provide you any neighborhood you want, city as a whole, whatever would be helpful for you. But just really wanted to show you some of the concentrations of foreclosed properties that exist. Another question from the county: what is the physical condition of these homes? What percentage are move-in ready? What percentage would require rehabilitation, and how extensive would this rehabilitation need to be? The Neighborhood Stabilization Program actually provides money that can be used for rehabbing these homes. I'm sure by now you've all heard about, certainly from our own code enforcement and police departments, you've heard about the weeds and the green pools and all those, blight issues, but also the concept of stripping homes where whole kitchens, carpets, central vac systems, you name it, have been pulled out of these houses. So the county's trying to get a sense of how much money would be needed to invest back into these homes to make them move-in ready. In general, Goodyear's housing stock is very new and in good shape. That's a luxury we have, that most of our housing has been built in the last 10 years. 60 to 70% are move-in ready, with 20 to 25% needing some sort of rehab. The numbers don't quite add up. I put a 5% in there. Some of these move-in issues are things like putting new carpet down on top of a concrete slab, or painting, or doing some other minor work that really somebody buying that property would do themselves, and it wouldn't be a government entity coming in and rehabbing the property. So that's the discrepancy. And again, the extent of rehab is to repair stripping activities, kitchens, bath, and appliances. Many of these homes from the street look move-in condition. They look, perfectly fine. But what you'll find in the backyard is that there is a dog door or a sliding glass door that's been punched out. It's been open to the environment. Teens have gone in. Different criminal activities have gone in, and so some of these houses do need some extensive rehab. Are the properties located within HOAs? If so, what would you estimate to be the average HOA assessment? What are the average property taxes? One of the things that's allowable under this program is for cities to actually acquire these properties and carry them for a certain amount of time. The county's trying to get a sense of what those carrying costs would be. Again, because our housing is so new, almost all of our new housing stock is in an HOA. HOA assessments can vary incredibly widely depending on the amenities, and I almost hate to throw a number out there, but to the county, an average assessment would be $60 per month or $180 per quarter. Rough estimate. Again, it depends greatly depending on what amenities your HOA provides. And then as far as taxes, this is an estimate from our finance department right off our website of what an average tax bill would look like on one of our properties. Does your governing body consider your stock of vacant foreclosed houses to be a priority for your community? I apologize in advance for putting words in your mouth. However,
Good word. Good word.
I previously asked both Betsy and Parrish to reach out to you about this question, and hopefully I've done a halfway decent job of capturing. Yes, absolutely, Goodyear City Council strives to make Goodyear a city with a rich, rewarding quality of life and tremendous community spirit. This includes ensuring the economic prosperity of Goodyear, which requires a prospering housing industry and residents living in quality homes located in vibrant neighborhoods. As we heard from the work session before, retail sales tax and all those things are critical to us, and so taking care of this foreclosure property is critical. Do you currently have any operating housing programs? Do you have a client waiting list? again, the county's trying to see which cities are positioned to be up and running and use these programs quickly. Since 1994, Goodyear has operated a home housing rehab program that many of you are aware of. This program has rehabbed 88 homes and invested over $2 million in our neighborhoods. It's something we're very proud of, that we've been able to make those investments in some of our older neighborhoods. We are actually not operating the program this year. We were forced for several reasons to end our relationship with our housing rehab contractor. This came at the direction from the county, who was having some problems with our contractor. So under advisement, we took the year off so as to not continue this detrimental relationship with the contractor. So we are, in 2008, we're not taking advantage of home housing rehab funds, but we do have about a dozen homeowners on a waiting list desperately wanting these home housing rehab funds, and we plan at the next available opportunity, which is December of this year, to go back to the county, apply for home housing rehab, and get that program back up and running. Do you have a program which could provide single-family rental or rent-own opportunities for persons with an income less than 50% of area median income? A certain percentage of this money is set aside for this target population. In 2007, the area median income was $64,200. This is the area median income for the greater Phoenix Mesa area. It would be interesting to see what the area median income is going to look like after this year. Certainly, it'll be less than $64,200. 50% of area median income would be $32,000. Historically, they recommend spending no more than a third of your budget on housing. So this population would be able, in general terms, to afford $900 per month. Really, right up until the boom the last 2 or 3 years ago, $900 would buy you, a pretty nice home or a pretty substantial rental unit in the Southwest Valley, not just in Goodyear, but in the Southwest Valley as a whole. So this population's been able to find suitable housing without a government assistance program. So we've never thought it appropriate to offer such a program here in Goodyear. Do you have potential home buyers who have showed interest in purchasing within your community with an income no more than 120% of area median income? This is a big change for HUD to allow people who earn up to 120% of area median income to participate in these programs. Again, $64,000 being area median income, 120% of that would be $77,000 a year, which is right about what Goodyear's family area median income is, which is in the $72,000, $73,000 range. Certainly, we have these type of individuals here in Goodyear interested in, if they don't already have roots, establishing roots here in Goodyear. I personally receive 4 to 6 calls a week from individuals wanting to buy in Goodyear and looking for, certainly there's a group that want financial incentives to buy these homes, but we also get a high percentage of people that just want help. They want to be, pointed, what neighborhood's doing well, which schools, can you hook me up with a lender, those sort of things. So not everybody's looking for financial help right now. Some are just looking for information and educational help to acquire some of these properties. Do you have a relationship with a nonprofit agency which is experienced in acquisition, rehab, and or serving the housing needs of low and moderate income residents? Again, this is the county trying to see who's positioned well to take advantage of these funds. The Community Services Department has a whole host of relationships. I just captured a few of them here. The one overarching concern I have is that the nonprofits who specialize in housing issues are so busy right now that taking on new work, be it come from us, we might have a challenge there. But hopefully we would look to the people we've partnered with in the past to work on a program together, and then certainly reach out and see if there's other nonprofits out there who could work with us. In summary, Goodyear, and I thought about how to say this, I wanted to say Goodyear doesn't have a housing problem, because we really don't have a housing problem. We have an amazing housing stock with a whole host of rental units, single family, entry-level units, luxury units. Our housing stock's in good condition, and only 6 to 8% of Goodyear is developed. So we'll be able to continue bringing on these new type of housing units for the foreseeable future. We don't have a housing problem like a Flagstaff, a Sedona, a Tempe have, where they're running out of buildable land, and the skyrocketing cost of that land is, driving up housing. We don't have those issues. So some of the opportunities in this program around land banking, I'm not sure make a whole lot of sense for us at this time. We have strong HOAs and neighborhood alliances to do a great job of policing our neighborhoods and letting us know where there are issues. As the city manager discussed on his presentation, we have an amazing amount of economic activity right now with, Amazon.com. They just started recruiting new employees last Friday. The ballpark, all this retail and commercial development. This is certainly going to help specifically our housing market turn around faster than others. And just to give you a sense that not all the news is bad, there are actually 147 homes sold during the month of September. So there is residential activity out there, so the houses are moving. Draft plan, and again, the purpose of this presentation tonight is procedural, to make sure we have a place at the table as the county is allocating these money. As decisions are made or as options are on the table, we will certainly, as staff, bring them back to council for your guidance. But right now, I just wanted to give you a sense of what we were thinking. We would focus the attention on the immediate issue of subprime mortgage and foreclosures, and not look at sort of a larger housing initiative, which would be land banking and land trust and some of those things. With your consent this evening, we would submit the data to the county and to HUD in order to, again, to get us at the table. We would continue work on the DollarWise campaign and the educational sessions that have begun with Credit Union West to start to get that education out to our residents and hopefully position them to take advantage of some of these houses that are out there right now. This money through the Neighborhood Stabilization Program has to be obligated within 18 months. That clock is already running. I probably should have explained it earlier, but one of the reasons I keep talking about us partnering with a nonprofit is by us entering into a contract with the nonprofit, that meets our 18-month obligation. Once the money has been obligated, we then have 4 to 5 years to expend it. If we were trying to do everything in-house, we'd have to spend it in the 18 months, and that's just not going to happen. So, the best course of action right now is to develop an RFP, to contract with a nonprofit housing agency, obligate the money with them, and then be able to expend the money over the next several years. Focus housing services around education, credit counseling, credit repair, down payment, and closing cost assistance, to be able to take those people already in our community and those people wanting to come into our community, get them the information, the education, all the materials they need to make wise and sound investments in Goodyear in our housing stock. I threw this up here as just sort of a placeholder, but I sort of thought the goal of the program would be to, A, prevent additional foreclosures. That's got to be one of our priorities. This is a concept that keeps coming up, but I think it's really important to rehouse Goodyear residents who have already been displaced. Either they were renting a unit that was short-sailed out from underneath them, or they were foreclosed upon. I think it's imperative that we keep those kids in our schools, we keep those employees in our jobs, and we keep them here in our community. So to the extent that we can get them rehoused, maybe it's in a rental unit for several years while they repair their credit, or we get them right back into a home in our community, but keep them here. And then ultimately to reduce the stock of foreclosed properties, to start chipping away at that. And certainly the September resale numbers is a step in the right direction. Formally apply for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program funding. That'll be in December. And again, I'll bring that back to council before that happens. Later this year, with Councilmember Cavalier and Osborne's assistance, aggressively go after community development block grant and home housing rehab funds from the county to be able to, grow this housing program. And then we're not going to do this alone. We're not going to do this with city resources. So actively look for partnerships and collaborations, whether it be other government entities or nonprofits, to help us manage this housing program. And with that, my recommendation to you this evening is you consider the approval of resolution number 08-1260, authorizing the submission of both the needs data and a neighborhood stabilization application to Maricopa County Community Development. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Nice presentation. Opportunity now for the public. This is an open hearing.
Mayor, there is one gentleman
Okay.
who filled out a speaker card.
Hi.
Hi, Honorable Mayor, City Council members. This is the first time I've ever addressed a group like this. My name is Joseph McLaughlin. I live at 16800 West Fillmore Street, Goodyear Canyon Trails. God provides, because I was angry 2 weeks ago and I was 5 minutes late for the meeting. This is what I was coming about. Now, adopt it. But this is not enough. When you see broken beer bottles on the street, you have a tree on a public sidewalk for 4 weeks, and then you call about it and you get no answers or a royal runaround, people like me will move. I recommend you Google Kensington, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That is the neighborhood I grew up in. We left 45 years ago. It was in the same condition that you're in now. Not the vacant homes, not the foreclosures. The type of people that are living there, and you try to do something and you get the runaround. Why do I bang my head against the wall when I don't have to? I can move. I saw when I came for the work council, you were worried about income and revenue. My income is above the area median. I can take my money and move. It's very important you work together. HOAs are an abdication of city council responsibilities. That's the way I see it. Where I come from, we don't have them. We didn't need them. People just got the runaround from the city, county. I got one of these last week from everybody. Or the answer was, we can't do too much. I have had interaction with the police about different things within the last 2 weeks. Very nice, very professional. I need to let you know that. But the thing was constantly, not too much we can do. And City Clerk, Ms. Mulhall, has my telephone number. If you just want to call me, feel free. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate those comments, and we'll take them to heart. And we do have your number.
Great. I got my number.
Okay, and the city manager will get back to you in one form or way or another about those problems, all right?
City manager, excuse me, sir, just quick. The assistant city manager, Mr. Dobbie, did call me. But he promised other people would call me, and they didn't.
Okay. Okay. All right. Other comments, public hearing from the people? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing, and I'll ask the clerk to read the resolution by title only, please.
Adopt Resolution 08-1260, authorizing the submission of one application for the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, NSP, funds to the Maricopa County Community Development Department, and authorizing the city manager to execute all documents relating to said applications.
Okay, could I have a motion, please?
So moved as read by the clerk.
Second.
A motion from Councilmember Holland and a second from Vice Mayor Antoniak. It's open for discussion. Councilmember Lord?
I was really glad to see the program they're going to have, and I guess it's through the Mayor's Association or something, and they educating people on buying homes. I just hope those that are educating the people will be very honest with them. Your income is this. Your debt is this. That means that you can only afford this price range of home, because that's where we've gotten into. When people feel that they are owed to buy a house they cannot afford, and from the banks to the loan officer to the other representative, it's a shame. But people have to be aware that your income tells you and your debt tells you what you can afford, and if you can't afford it, then you either rent or you go someplace where you can afford the payment. And I hope that message is sent out, because we can get back into this all over again. As long as we're handing out and we're giving people a lifeline, they can make the same mistakes they've been making. And so I don't want to see that. That's my soap opera tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Antonio?
Just same mapping capability, again, maybe this is my time in public safety, but does public safety have these things mapped on your live MCDs when you're out and about? Okay. You don't? Okay. I don't know if there'd be any, okay. Are we seeing an increase in, I mean, I know we've seen property crimes in these areas, people breaking in, but are we seeing people move in? Weather's going to get cooler, air conditioning's not going to be as critical. Seems, no, I don't know. Okay. Just more curiosity than anything.
Councilmember Cavalier?
Yeah, I have several questions here. One, going through your presentation, you said 603 parcels. These weren't parcels, you mean lots. These are, but this is not considering a developer who owns a parcel. They're not in that count.
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, certainly they are. If a developer has subdivided, if they plotted 40 units,
Yeah.
40 individual lots,
Right.
and then they've gone
Belly up.
belly up, those will all be counted. And that's, especially with those 603 parcels, a lot of that is what you're seeing. And when we do map it, you'll see just parcel after parcel after parcel laid on top of each other. And that's a developer going bankrupt or pulling out for whatever
Because
reason.
there's some that they laid it completely out, set it all up, and didn't build even one house on it. And it's belly up, and they're gone. So that's included in your number.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Now, on the HOA, the foreclosures where there's back payments owed on HOA dues, and there are many of those, and to some of the HOAs, it's becoming very costly. Would this program cover some of those payments for the back to the HOA for the back payments that that house owes?
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, no, it wouldn't, and that's a huge issue for our HOAs, and something they really need to determine for themselves is when they declare an uncollected HOA assessment as bad debt, and what measures they're taking to actively collect it. Some HOAs will write off bad debt after 180 days. Others will wait until the actual foreclosure occurs, and that could be 6 to 9 months where they're carrying that bad debt on the books, which doesn't help them balance their own budget. HOAs are increasingly turning to third-party collection agencies and law firms to go after them. And not that it's a new technique, but it's sort of new for HOAs. They're actually bundling their bad debt and selling their bad debt to a third party. So they're just
But once a property is foreclosed on,
one.
no longer that person can walk away from it. That's,
It's actually very ironic that to an HOA, once a bank owns it, to the HOA itself, that's actually kind of a good thing because the banks will pay those assessments. So you'll see that a neighborhood that's really already gone through their wave of foreclosures, and now all the pre-foreclosures and auctions and everything have occurred, and the banks are really holding the properties, that their HOA collection rates will go up significantly. So to an HOA, it's from a bottom line, it's a good thing. To the vibrancy of the neighborhood and the livability of the neighborhood, it's still problematic. But yeah, once a bank owns a property, they, for the most part, they are taking care of those assessments and the maintenance of the property.
okay. Now, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to
Well, I want to. Well, that's right. I have several others,
Yeah.
but it
No,
has
go
nothing
ahead.
to do with that.
Go ahead.
Now, you said we aren't applying for any home funds this year.
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, we did not apply in December of '07. The opportunity this year to apply for home funds will be December of '08. So currently, we do not have any home funds for this year, but we anticipate applying December of '08 for home funds.
December of '08, which will bring us to the next year.
Right, it means summer of '09, we would have home housing rehab funds to invest back in the community.
Then are we doing anything in CBDG funds? Are we applying for any of those? Neither one.
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, I don't mean to be flippant, but I'm the grant guy. We're going after community development block grants. And again, that will be December of '08 as well. And I will come to you in another public hearing and lay out our options for what projects we'll apply for. But certainly, we're not going to let that opportunity pass us by.
Okay. So it doesn't have anything to do with NSP?
Not at all.
That's a separate issue?
This is a separate one-time allocation coming from HUD.
And then if on the NSP funds for the rehab and rebuilding of refurbishing these homes that need refurbished, do we have someone from the city that would be monitoring that? I mean, this could get out of hand with contractors. And we need to find out if someone's going to oversee that so that we aren't overcharged or they do more than they need to do, and that this goes in. Just because it's a government program, generally, sometimes people try to take advantage of it.
Mayor, Councilmember Cavalier, certainly, and if we do nothing else, we learn from our mistakes, and that was one of the mistakes we got into previously with the home housing rehab program. And we certainly know that oversight, if we decide to do that rehab work, is going to be critical. And it would be myself or somebody else from city government that would work with the nonprofit or the contractor to ensure that that money is being wisely spent and all the reporting is done to both the county and HUD. So absolutely.
Yeah, that needs to really be watched. Okay, thank you very much.
Vice Mayor?
Got my question answered.
Okay, nice job.
Thank you.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Cavalier.
Aye.
Councilmember Lord.
Aye.
Councilmember Holland.
Aye.
Councilmember Osborne.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Antoniak.
Aye.
Mayor Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Passes 6-0.
Okay, thank you. That completes the business part of our agenda. We'll now move to information. Any comments by our council about recent activities? Councilmember Lord.
Yeah, I'm just going to use Matt's statement about tremendous community spirit. And I've just heard of one of those groups that have come forth with that spirit. And, you know, we're going to be Make a Difference Day on October 25th. So they're going to go to Mobile and to other areas of the city. But there is a group that has already been working on a neighborhood in the north part of Goodyear. We have 3 Rotary clubs, Southwest Valley, Estrella, White Tanks of Goodyear, and Litchfield Park Rotary Club. And they have gone to this gentleman's home and spent close to $40,000 revamping this house. And I understand this was a complaint by their neighbors for a number of years. It was on our list as our #1 problem. And I have to tell you, that is really coming together with great spirit. And, you know, that's why I really like Goodyear in the West Valley, because we really come forth when the need is there. This might have taken a little time, but by golly, they're doing it. So I look forward to hearing what other things we're going to be doing on that Make a Difference Day.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Osborne.
A couple things, as long as I can talk. I today went to my MAG meeting on the continuum of care for homelessness, and I would like to give to the clerk to have maybe put on our website. National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week is November 16th to 22nd. And I just think our citizens would like to know that, if there's things that they even want to donate food to the shelters of that week, something like that. Some very sombering statistics came out today that was told to us, and our homelessness is not good. And we, I think, all can realize that from the economy that it may get worse, the emergency type of situation. And there's homelessness that we have in our city that we don't see. They're not out on the street. We have people that are living with other families because they don't have anywhere to go, and we don't see those homelessness. Our Patty Evans told me a very startling thing today, and I hate to even say it, but she stated that she was told that we have 44 in a high school. I don't know what high school, but we have 44 homeless teenagers.
Oh.
Yes, that's very upsetting, and I don't know. That we don't see that. So it is a problem out there, and then we all need to recognize that. So that was my sad thing to say. A good thing that I've been doing these last few weeks is I have taken a proactive reaching out to our schools Parish has been helping with this, sitting down with all the superintendents of our 6 different districts and of all the principals, talking about how, as a city, we can have a collaboration together, kind of a united front about it's important, our kids, our schools. We know we're 2 separate municipalities in a sense, but we can still have that united front. And they gave me ideas of what the city can help them with in things like one superintendent said, boy, I'd sure love your planning and zoning people to help me with figuring out boundaries. You know, that was something. We had another principal stated, you know, teachers get kind of, I want to use the word stale in a sense, but it would be cool if they could shadow some of your people now and then, give her a little refresher. I mean, these are things that don't take money, but these are things that it's a thought process and things that we can do together. Even students shadowing people in our government, and there's many other things that will be coming out from this, and I just wanted to share some positives with you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I just have 2 very brief ones. We need to thank the German Air Force and Lufthansa. They put on an annual event called Oktoberfest, and they had 1,100 people there the other night. People in this room were there. But the point that's important, not only did everyone have a good time, but everybody contributed to the New Life Center. So all their proceeds go to the New Life Center. Think of that. They come from another country. They are living in the city of Goodyear. They're having an event that reflects their culture, and every bit of the money, proceeds, goes to New Life Center. Then on Sunday, we had a classic car show, and I was there, made remarks, and I picked the mayor's choice for a car. I didn't know much about that subject, but I picked one anyway. And
What kind of car was it?
38 Ford Coupe.
All right.
And sort of my generation, I'm afraid. Yeah, I probably drove one of those ones. But
I learned to drive on them.
and then, but that was Pebble Creek, and that was the Pebble Creek Car Club, and all their proceeds are going where? Southwest Crisis Center. So these gentlemen in the Classic Car Club are did all that work. They're going to do it every year, and it's all going to Crisis, Southwest Crisis Center. So that's good stuff.
Yes.
Okay, City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. First, refer to the yellow papers that you received. The monthly telephone charges. One of the council members had asked at the last council meeting what the increase in the cost was for. We did pulled the last 6 months of expenses, and we spend between $42,800 per month for phones, up to the high of $126,000 for last August, and that was the one that prompted the question.
One I saw.
Yeah. And so what that was, though, was annual maintenance support cost in the amount of $77,624.91, which means that the monthly charge was actually only $48,595.42. The other high month was June, which was $81,454, and that was when we added new telephone circuit. So roughly, it looks like we average approximately $50,000 a month for phone charges. Secondly, use of credit card fees for development, or use of credit cards for development fees. A council member had asked the last couple of meetings ago about the fact that we do use credit cards for development fees where people could charge them. And they cited an example that had cost us $20,000, cost the city, because the fees were that much. So we went back in and checked the records on how much is charged. We found that the credit card charges the city paid in 2007, 2008 were $80,000. The $20,000 charge that was pointed out came during that period of time. What I have done because of these types of expenses was ordered the staff to limit the total amount that can be charged on a credit card to $7,500 per transaction. What this will do is allow customers to use it if necessary, but it will basically require most people to pay by check. And what we're dealing with really is development fees here. And that's what the one was that we had gotten hit for particularly hard. What we do is we have an agreement with the credit card companies, as Joanne mentioned to us. We pay 2.1% is what we've negotiated with them on the charges on the
You've
average.
negotiated that
Yes.
already?
Yes. And so that's what they charge us for, so that's what the $20,000 fee was based upon. What we will do is continue to monitor the payments that we are making, or that they are making, and we will continue to monitor that and determine the impact upon the customers. Effective immediately, therefore, we'd let people know as of October 1st, we will only accept credit cards for up to $7,500. So we don't anticipate that it will create a problem, but we will be monitoring it. Thirdly, Mr. Mayor, the Maricopa County Library. As you know, we had a county librarian hired, Alicia Starr, in May of 2008. Unfortunately, she is no longer with the city of Goodyear. She was promoted within Maricopa County. Maricopa County Library has looked at that expense and determined that now is not the time for them to go to that expense for the city of Goodyear. They'd rather wait until the library is in a fixed facility, bricks and mortar. This was even in last count, we served approximately 2,600 residents in the summer's activities, the reading programs and that, but they are going to wait until that we produce a physical facility before they hire a new librarian. This is not going to delay us in creating a Friends of the Library group. Meeting coming up, I think, Georgia, it's October 14th, I believe. We're going to be holding a meeting for the creation of a 501c3, Friends of the Library group, that can assist us in seeking grants, and Mario is staffing that effort. The Neighborhood Circulator Study, June of 2008, you approved a contract with the URS Corporation consultants to develop a neighborhood circulator study. The purpose of the study is to analyze a range of options for designing and implementing a transit circulator service to connect the community to existing and planned activity centers throughout the community. The consultant is working with the Public Works Department and Economic Development and Community Development staff. They have hosted one meeting already, Tuesday, September 30th. There are two additional meetings coming up, one this week, October 9th, at the West Star Elementary School cafeteria, and Wednesday, October 15th, at City Hall at the 117 conference room. We did take a look with the consultant of the Sonoran Valley and Mobile, and we determined that we could not include them at this time. Transit just simply is not an option at this time for down there. So those residents who can't make it, we encourage them to look at our website. We will have information on there so that they can fill out the surveys and stuff like that. The end product of this will be that the consultant will submit a plan to the City Council for their consideration, an operations plan, funding requirements, funding strategies, and a final service plan. The next item, a council member asked me, the newspapers have reported recently about the cost of the compensation study. They related it to the study that the council recently completed and that you rejected at the last meeting for your increases. And they said, why do you have to spend $107,000 in order to tell you not to raise your salaries? I wanted to clarify that. What that represents, the study cost $107,112. It was done in 2007. And what that was that the city recently implemented a 2007 classification, compensation, and benefits study. That study cost the $107,000. That study was for all 580 employees that the city has. And we need to do a classification, compensation, and benefits study every probably 4 to 5 years. Matrix noted when we received the Matrix report that it had last been done in 2000, and they recommended that we do this. And so we went and did it. Part of that study was we looked at the council's salary also. And so it's a misnomer to say that the city spent $107,000 to determine what we should do with the city council. What we did do was spend $107,000 to do a once-in-an-8-year comprehensive compensation and classification study, which we then implemented this last July. So that has been done. And there's a whole host of things that the study looks at. It was well worth the money, whether it's coordinating the project planning and administration of the project, including on-site project planning, all the way down to doing the comprehensive salary survey for the city and its comparable cities. And so that is what the study was for. So I did want to clarify that so that the public gains the benefit of knowing that. I'm pleased to tell you that we received a check for $3,405.81 from APS, and this was because of the fact that they did an audit of the wastewater treatment center, and they found that the light fixtures that we purchased during the construction of that are energy-saving type light fixtures, so they rebated us the $3,400 in recognition of that. So it's part of their, they call it their APS Solutions for Business program.
Yeah, is there about another 100 of
Nice
those?
place else we can look.
The last item I want to mention is that we received, and Matt sent a message to you all this afternoon, which you may or may not have seen yet, but we did receive a grant from the SRP, the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community Grant, for $91,912. And this project was thought of by Richard Swift, our fleet supervisor, and it's to purchase an ethanol refueling station. And so the city is attempting to go green further, and so we will be implementing that. And our special thanks go to Mayor Kavanaugh and Romina Corquez for establishing the relationship with SRP that ultimately led us to this conclusion. So thank you. The last item I want to mention are the different follow-ups that we received at tonight's meeting. We will monitor the state budget, the LGIP, the Local Government Investment Pool activity. Number one. Number two, we will look at where is the city at with regards to its voter bonding capacity. Number three, the staff will forward the projected debt service for the city center project. Number four, the staff will obtain information about a 4-day work week and present that to the city council. Number five, the staff will look at the possibility of a public safety road, for lack of better words, for the Sonoran Valley as an option to get down to the Amaranth development. So we will take a look at that as one of the many options that we'll be considering. Staff will bring back the hotel motel tax issue for council's discussion and consideration. The staff will look at the impact to the public safety if the City Hall project is delayed. Possibly there is space in one of the other buildings to accommodate the police, public safety staff out at Veneta. We will take a look at that. We will identify financial indicators that are reported regularly to the City Council. Turn the paper, sorry. We will, let's see, I will be following up with Joseph McLaughlin. I do have his address and phone numbers. We will also be, we'll furnish you a report with what is happening on Make a Difference Day by the different agencies. And then we will follow up with Joanne's request and get the national homelessness information on our website. That's what I got out of tonight's meeting, Mr. Mayor.
Pretty good, thorough work.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Inquiries of staff. Okay, meeting adjourned, thank you.